welcome back to the show. It's almost 9 a.m. here on The Breakfast Show on NTV7, your home of Feel Good. And we're going to start by helping you feel good by talking about nutrition.
Yes, a lot of people, focus a lot on their training these days, especially if they embrace things like, marathon running or even triathlons. But, they miss out a very important and crucial aspect in their entire training program, which is the nutrition part, which is their diet. So today we want to focus on diets for athletic performance. How can you get the best out of your training coupled with the right nutrition?
Exactly. So that's why we've got with us here on the set, our nutrition and wellness guru, Wong Eugene. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again.
Okay, so today, of course, we focus on athletic performance, and as I was saying earlier on, diet is very important. How important is it? To just reiterate.
Yeah, like what you say, it's really, really important. Too many people just focus on the training itself.
Yeah.
I always say something like you train very hard and then you build a whole car like a BMW. And then you put in like unrefined diesel into the car. You can't expect it to be traveling at 250 kilometers per hour. Or really accelerating really fast. So you have to put in the right fuel to ensure that your body can actually metabolize everything and get the energy that it needs. And not only just about the energy, but also rebuilding the body. Because when you work out or you do sports, a lot of muscle tissue is being broken down. It needs to be repaired.
I see.
So food, really, really important.
Timing your food is also crucial, when it comes to...
Definitely.
Like before you eat, you wouldn't want to eat before a big game or something like that.
Yeah, big training session. And then there's this thing we know about this called carb loading, but, for the general person out there who's never really followed any diet regime or any eating pattern, what is carb loading?
Carb loading is basically used by endurance athletes. People like marathon runners, triathletes.
The night before.
They need the energy. Actually, it's probably about a week before.
So the whole week, so it's okay, to eat carbs.
No, what happens is they deplete their glycogen stores. Glycogen stores is where the energy is being stored. So they stop taking carbohydrates for 2 full days, and then really take high carbohydrate intake for the next 5 days.
Okay, so
the body absorbs all this glycogen. So when you need it during your endurance race, it can be replenished very easily.
All right. Now, we had actually, when we were talking to guests about the Standard Chartered Marathon, we actually had one of our guests who is a trainer, a coach for marathon runners, and he also spoke about, yes, carb loading was one of them, but also maintaining your diet, watching what you eat so that you reach an optimum weight. So that's to to enhance your performance. You're saying a runner's sense, if you're like 5 kgs heavier, hence you are slower. So that's also one thing to look at.
Definitely, even more so, especially for competitive bodybuilders. They have to be in the right weight category. Or if you talk about boxers or martial artists, they have to be in the right weight category. So the proper diet to actually reach the right weight is also part of the training program.
Okay, let's head back to carbs, we do know that there are so many types of, carbohydrates out there. There's pastas and breads and all that, but the white bread, brown bread, is there a difference, and what kind of carbs should one eat?
Probably if for athletic performance or even general eating, what you want to do is to have unrefined complex carbohydrates. So instead of taking your white bread, you should be taking your wholemeal bread. Instead of taking white rice, it should be brown rice. Even pasta, instead of normal pasta, take the whole wheat pasta. It's not that much difference in price, but it helps a lot more in maintaining your energy levels. So I would say the more unrefined it is, probably the better. Never ever go for processed food.
Okay, so now what about protein? How essential is protein, and how much should one take if they're,
protein is very important to repair those muscles. Like I say, when you do really hard training, you probably break down a lot of your muscle tissue. So if you don't take enough protein, you wouldn't have the building blocks to build all those muscles again. The amount of protein probably a sports person should be about 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. But if you are seriously training for bodybuilding or really hard gym work, probably up to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Right. And that's spread out, of course, in the entire day, and you know, you should spread out, even out to like 4 or 5 meals.
And also the protein source is very important. What you want to do is to consume as close as possible to the natural state, so that the what we call the bioavailability in your body. So the absorption of protein is different for different kinds of things. If you take a piece of beef, meat sirloin steak, compared to like a burger, even though it has the same amount of protein, but the absorption is different.
Yes, because one is actually processed and it's gone through.
That's right.
What about protein shakes? You know, those are actually quite popular right now.
Protein shakes are good to supplement, but never as a replacement.
All right.
Yeah, some people just take it the wrong way. They use it as a replacement of the real protein. So I would say lean meat like fish and chicken would be best, and a little bit of red meat to get that iron in.
Oh, okay. Now, you know, it's written here that in our little write-up here that actually protein is not, we shouldn't be taking that much of it, right? Our bodies can't absorb it. And also for an athlete training for something, you shouldn't take that much of it either. But one always thought that protein would be a bodybuilder's best friend. That's what helps build
I think
the
that
muscles.
is if you're bodybuilding, as Eugene mentioned, but if you're not bodybuilding, I think what, 0.75 or even?
If you're a casual sports person, not really training very hard, then you don't really need that much protein. But if you're training to the extent of probably 5 or 6 days intensive training a week, then you need to look at your protein sources.
All right.
It's just
for
to
the casual athlete, no.
Just repair the muscle tissue that you've worn out and broken down in training.
Now let's talk a little bit about how much that one should eat. You know, how many times a day you should eat, and should you actually, you know, watch the amount of food, like portion controls or things like that.
Right. The best type of diets will usually be, I usually say 3 big meals and 3 small meals. So you interlace the 3 big meals with 3 different small meals. Because for an athlete, what you want to do is to maintain your sugar levels throughout the day. You don't want it to be fluctuating too much. Because imagine if you're training twice a day and you're training in the morning or in the evening, and if you have dips in your sugar levels, you will have your energy drop. So you will feel really lethargic and you can't give your best performance.
Right.
Yeah. So you want to maintain food throughout the day. 3 big meals and 3 small meals will usually be the best.
Okay. What about energy bars? You know, are those good enough for, you know, those small meals or the snacks in between? You can buy a lot off the counter, but they may be, you know, high in sugar, so may not be that great actually.
Yeah. More of a supplement, really. If you can't have the natural food, natural is always best, Aisha. If you have like oats or cereal or milk even, that's quite good, that's much better. But if you can't, because most people are on the go nowadays, right? So that's why the energy bars come into play.
Those bars are convenience. It's more for convenience,
yes,
whether
right,
if you're not at home and you're...
Rather than whacking something like, you know, fried bananas or something like that. Or curry puff.
Why not?
Those things you can have when you're having your tea time, you know, tea time.
Or your...
when you're training for
or how about to reward yourself?
That's fine.
Maybe after you win the game. Make sure that you win.
Okay, now speaking of game day or the day where your competition is happening, what kind of do you need to make any altercations to your meals?
Right. I always say it's very important to have a meal before your game. Even though the game's in the morning or your run is very early in the morning, say some of the runs start at 5 o'clock, but it's important to have a meal.
Like then what time should you wake up then?
You should have a meal 2 hours before your run. So it takes about 2 hours to fully process the whole thing, and try to take something which is high in carbs but low in protein and fats. And you want to take something that's familiar to you. Your stomach don't really need to find out what's this thing. You know, it processes very fast. So within an hour plus to 2 hours.
What would you suggest? What would be something safe to eat actually?
The best is usually just like a sandwich, sandwich with tuna, a little bit of greens in there. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, that's enough.
And just before your game or your competition, it's also very good to have a small meal. and what I usually say is just a banana, if you can, just before starting. But a lot of people can't swallow it because they have that jitters and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah, the last thing on their mind would be...
So I will say, if you can't, then maybe just take like half a bottle of energy drink.
Okay, all right. Now, during a big game, drinking a lot of water obviously is very important. But there are a lot of, other drinks like that, sports drinks like, that are available. Are those any good? Are those, can those replace water?
The sports drinks play a certain role.
Yeah.
It's to ensure that you have continuous energy when you're training. But if, let's say, if your game or your athletic performance is less than 60 minutes, you probably don't really need a sports drink. But if it's any longer than that, you probably need to replenish that glycogen in your body.
And the loss of minerals.
And the loss of minerals. And you need to have that balance of electrolytes as well. So anything longer than 60 minutes, really good to have an energy drink. But if it's shorter, it's just an excuse, really.
It's just an excuse for you to quench your thirst. But, okay, coming back to athletic performance, now, a lot of people go towards supplements to help enhance their performance. What kind of supplements are recommended, and what do you think a no-go that you would stay away from?
Okay. Supplements is obviously an important thing. The reason for that is because when athletes, especially, a little bit short of certain kinds of nutrients will hamper their athletic performance on their training. So some of the important supplements, I think we have a slide on this one. I've prepared a short one. One of the most important one is vitamin B12.
Okay.
And the B complex vitamins.
Right.
The B complex vitamins, the importance of it is that it helps in converting carbohydrates to energy. So you want to have that. Another really important one is iron. Iron, because iron is helps in the transportation of oxygen throughout the entire body. So if you're doing endurance kind of activities, you really need iron.
Right.
Magnesium is important if you are training really hard, because magnesium prevents cramps. Shortage of magnesium will cause cramps. Then we go on to coenzyme Q10. It's been shown that coenzyme Q10 helps in the performance of athletes, high-level athletes. So it's also good to have that. And generally, if you're training very hard, I always subscribe to an antioxidant. That's because when you train very hard, you produce a lot of free radicals in your body. And free radicals, because it causes oxidization and breaks down certain parts of your body, you want to repair it with antioxidants. So a broad-spectrum antioxidant is good.
Okay. All right. So those are some of the supplements that'd be good to take, if you're preparing for a big game or match. Now, a lot of people nowadays are actually talking about this thing, creatine. It's actually a power-boosting supplement. What do you think about that?
Creatine comes in the form of creatine monohydrate, used a lot by high-level athletes when they are training.
So it's actually quite effective.
It's quite effective, and it's not dangerous. It's a naturally occurring substance in your body. Creatine, what happens is it helps in the training itself. It gives you a little bit of a boost in energy. But what's more important about creatine is that it helps in repairing those muscles. So your recovery is actually faster. Very important for athletes who are training very hard for a particular competition.
But I find, I personally used creatine before, and I find that it's because it only helps if you're doing anaerobic exercises. It doesn't really improve your aerobic performance. So if you use creatine, you probably be either a sprinter, something that requires you to sprint quite a lot, or exert a burst of energy, even weightlifting or bodybuilding. So that would help, and there are science that actually shows that because you can prolong your short-term activity longer than how normally you would, then you would gain strength. So strength gain is one of the most apparent results.
It helps in the building of lean muscle tissue.
I see, I see. Now, okay, we actually touched a little bit about, what and when to eat before a big game or tournament, anything like that. What should one eat afterwards, to help the muscle to actually, repair itself?
Post-exercise.
I've seen I've just spoken to a friend who does bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, they really restrict their diet just before that.
So they have a nasi lemak.
Yeah,
right?
they really go crazy about it. I normally don't advise that because your body has not been taking a lot of fats and a lot of sugars and suddenly has this burst of energy. What happened to my friend was I asked him and he said he couldn't sleep the whole night.
So buzzed.
so buzzed. It was like a high just from the sugar itself. So I would say take it easy. You can reward yourself, but don't go so high on sudden sugars and all the calories that suddenly come in. Still go on a balanced diet. Very important to have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables for recovery because you've already exerted yourself. You need all that vitamins and that minerals to help yourself recover and not to fall sick, of course.
And drink lots of water. I think that's key because you lose so much fluid after you've been participated in this vigorous activity.
Water is just something that so many people just forget about. Especially, really hampers your athletic performance if you don't drink water. So every 15 minutes during your competition, you should be drinking about 150 milliliters water.
Wow, every 15 minutes?
Every 15 minutes. So 30 minutes is 300 mils. So you just calculate it that way.
But obviously, if you don't have the time, post-exercise, then you make it up and drink more water to compensate those 15 minutes that you couldn't take. Because I would reckon if everyone took every 15 minutes drinking water, you would watch a football game. Every football game, you'll be like drinking water the whole time out of those 90 minutes. But yeah, you must do it post. But I think it averaged out to 150 milliliters every 15 minutes.
It's easy to remember, 150 every 15 minutes.
All right,
so it's 1515. All right, great. I think we pretty much covered everything from the from pre to post athletic performance diet here. Well, thank you very much, Eugene. For more information, you can log on to his website to find out all the tips he has for you. It's www.wongeugene.com.
Yes, it's on the screens right now. Thanks again, Eugene, for being on the show.
So it's great to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to having you again next